right. So instead of actually going through Baseball Savant, now that MLB has their own video search database, it's just MLB.com/video/search. You can now
Okay.
create kind of these sequences. So of that at bat, while I pull it up real quick, before I forget that, but of that at bat, you can be able to say, okay, you essentially just create filters, and it's essential since the video database is so big. You don't want to. You want to just boil it down to whatever you need to boil it down to. So going back, we see that there are two different pitches, and they're essentially in the same zone. But you essentially pick, okay, so the one on the left where he hit a home run was against Michael Wacha. So what you do is you go back into this, and you'll essentially just select batter, type in Cody Bellinger, and then pitcher, Michael Wacha. And if you knew it was a home run, you'd go over the play filter, and you'd say hit result, go down to home run. And you can see right here, you pull it up. I'll mute the volume, but you have it pulled up, video plays, boom, home run. So essentially, if you know batter, if you know pitcher, and if you know result, you can pull it up rather quickly. Now for certain like balls and strikes, so like if you want to look at, Cody Bellinger like taking a strike, you can go to game, and it allows you to select like certain counts. So that's another thing you can add. So the other one I think was with Chris Paddock. So we'll replace that, and we'll say Chris Paddock. I believe it was him. And then instead of saying home run, we'll say, well, I guess we can't, instead of saying hit result, we'll say pitch result, and go to swing and strike. It lets me click on it. It's thinking. But yeah, sometimes it does take some time because again, it's filtering through a very large database. Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, man, it's slowing down your internet. Because I bet you there were a lot of swing and misses.
But so we have these four. So now we can. I don't know the exact date, but you essentially at least now have four. So I remember Paddock was wearing a away jersey, like a gray jersey. So it's either one of these two. So it might have been a strikeout. It might have been a swinging strike. But, you just guess and check. So, again, I will put this on mute and see. So it's a little bit outside. So it wasn't necessarily that one. So you can exit out of that and go to this one. And essentially, there, it's about the same pitch. Again, it was an 0-2 count. So you understand that when it was Wacha, there was one strike. With Paddock, there was two strikes. So when you brought up count, that might have played a factor too.
Well, or the fact that it was just a different pitcher.
Exactly.
And two, though, I think there are, go back to home runs by Paddock, or because I think there was a few where he had actually hit a home run off of him too. So it'd be interesting to see just from the standpoint of like, was it a fastball that he hit out? Like what pitch did he hit out? Obviously we could pull this off of Savant.
That one was a changeup, but you can actually, I believe so. Yeah. So
that was a changeup away.
So pitch type, you can actually select the pitch type as well and be able to say, okay, well, we only want to see fastballs. We only want to see, how many fastballs. So, and another thing you can actually do, because, the video search is limited, because right now it doesn't tell you, you can't filter by like pitch location. So if you like when you mentioned with Trout, you only want to see his pitches up and in or his pitches down and in. that's where you can go on to say Baseball Savant. Of course, it's the first thing that comes up because I use it frequently. Then you can say, all right, go to batter, and we'll say batters. Just type in Trout, and then we go to our game day zone. So I think this is from the catcher's perspective. So you said up and down and in. So now you go 1 and 7. Now you select, let's say, fastballs in this case, and we'll select all StatCast. And let's just do, we can sort by just about anything. So I'll just say average exit velocity. So just hit search, and you can see 472 pitches. You just click on it, and you have all of these. But now that you have kind of this information, not only you can save it as a CSV, so don't forget about that, because then what essentially you can do from a coding perspective is you can manipulate this URL up here by saying, okay, replace this with Mike Trout, replace this with the pitcher that he's up against, and then it'll automatically filter those videos. So I know that the video search has every video from 2017 to the present. So 2016 and 2015 may be a little bit harder to find with plays.
If you scroll back down, it looks like a lot of the videos are now linked.
Right. So, I mean, you could also video if you're doing like something specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but then once you kind of go down here, now it's like, okay, what if I'm interested in this Mike Trout ground out on a pitch in to the second baseman? So now you would essentially just go, okay, I know that the game date was September 3rd. I know the count was 1-1. So essentially what you'll do is I'll just clear all these. And now instead of saying Cody Bellinger, let's do Mike Trout. And we know that the count was 1-1, so 1 ball, 1 strike, and then it was the 2017 season. And the pitcher was Martin Perez, from what we saw. So we just type in Martin Perez. And we can still get that video either way.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have this video. So a little fastball up and in, and he grounded out to the right side. But as you brought up, you can see how, once you kind of get these videos, so essentially what you can do is the share button, you just copy this URL and you just save it into, save that URL. And then that way you can be able to kind of get these videos and then create your overlays in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so like for most of the time, yeah, especially with recent, so like 2019, you're going to have a ton of video that's already available if you're like on a specific thing. But like something that I was curious about was this. So I was interested on 2-seam fastballs and sinkers from right-handed pitchers and left-handed batters that were hit for home runs. And the thing was, the pitch not only had to be away, but actually down and away out of the zone. So 13, so this is from the catcher's perspective again, 13 being out of the zone. So I select that, and let's see, and I say the PA result, I want it to be home runs. And then I'll say sort by average exit velocity. But I select all the StatCast era, left-handed batter, right-handed pitcher. I was curious because two-seam fastballs and sinkers are running away from the left-handed batter. How can these batters pull it for a home run? So then you could also go to, let's see, if I remember where, batted ball direction, and you just select pull. And you hit search. And there may not be very many because again, it's a pitch that's shouldn't be designed that is a two-seam or a sinker that's going down and out of the zone to be pulled by a left-handed hitter for a home run. And so you see that there's only been 4 of those instances, and Ryan Flaherty hit 2 of them. So unfortunately, these were in 2015, and when I did look them up earlier, the video wasn't there. And Ryan Schimpf, there's nothing appearing there for a play result. And then Carlos Santana. So we have 2017, and so we know that the count's 3-1, and we know that he's against James Shields. So we say James Shields in this case. And instead of Mike Trout, we'll say Carlos Santana. And now instead, we'll say 3-1. And it should be this one right here. So now we look at this pitch. 2-seam that's going out of the zone, yet Santana still pulls it out for a home run. In a windy city like Chicago. So that's the beauty of video search.
And two, it helps like 13, that zone. It encapsulates such a big part of outside the zone. Basically, like belt high and down is 13. Like
right.
If you go back up to when it pops up the zone. So if you look at 13, it covers a large area. Well, that pitch was borderline 11. Like it was, it wasn't like down and away like by 7. You know what I mean? Like it was up by 4. And so I think that's where, oh, okay, that makes more sense that it wasn't just down and away. Like that's unfortunately like the hard part about those pitches. Like I get why they made the zone the way they did, because they're probably like, we don't care what happens in that zone very often, or at least the assumption is that we don't. But I mean, that's where it becomes, that's more interesting. Like zone 17, right? Like zone 17 or zone 27.
If someone a left-handed hitter were to pull a home run that way, I know from my experience using this, it's a little bit harder to search for, because I think they don't use these, or they don't have it ready for 2015 and 2016 yet. So they have it from 2017 in the present. So I kind of just go to game day zones, but again, we can just try it out right now and see. So instead of selecting 13, let's say, like you mentioned, 17 or 27. And if nothing comes up, we could also search for right-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers. The other side. So we search that up. And again, like if video doesn't come up for it, video doesn't come up for it. But you can still see, oh, hey, that's kind of cool that someone hit a opposite field home run. Or I should say a pulled home run on a pitch that was down and away in this sense.
Well, and they have exit velos on that too. And you look at Carlos Santana's EV on that, it was 98. And whereas the other two were like 100 plus. So kind of goes to what you're saying of it being the windy city there. Right.
Yeah. So then you can see, like with the attack zones, well, there's no results. So now let's instead say 19 and 29 and then switch the pitcher and batter handedness.
Well, and two, maybe it'll occur. There's more likelihood of it occurring with it being a righty, just because there may be
more frequent. Yeah.
So, but the matchup might be harder because there aren't as many lefty pitchers as righty pitchers. So I guess that might play a role there.
So I guess I'll ask you this. What's more impressive than a pulled home run from, a left or right-handed batter against the opposite hand who throws a two-seamer sinker, or the same hand who throws a two-seamer sinker? Because when let's say you have a righty-righty, you already know that pitch is starting away. It might come back to the zone, but again, that's why they track it better, to be able to come back to the zone, or a pitch that starts in the zone and starts to go away. So there's no results here.
So I wonder now if you were to change it from batted ball pull, now what if you were to go just eliminate that and just go all fields, and let's just see, because I think just in general that if that ball goes out, like that's incredibly difficult. So not just pull, like can you
But
even hit
if
that ball out?
right, and so like it would take a lot, but exactly, so it would take a lot of strength to be able to pull that ball going down and away. And again, like this should happen for everybody who uses the Statcast search. Like it's going to take time to load because it's going through all the squares. So Renato Nunez and Alex Rodriguez are the only two players to have a pull. And so this one is in 2017, so we can actually look that up from Martin Perez. So let me look at the count. So the count was actually 1-2 as well.
That's pretty
So
cool.
that's the other thing that's impressive. So 1-2, and we'll say Renato Nunez against. I wonder if I can type in his last name, but I'll just type in his first name. Martin Perez. So this one. So that pitch looked like it was in the zone, but it was still hit for a home run. So maybe it was like this just edge of 19. So it's like somewhere between 9 and
Well,
19.
isn't the strike zone that dotted line?
Yes, yes. So
So
yeah, it could have been
really,
in
really,
that
that's
that top right corner of that 19.
mhm.
So then obviously with A-Rod, you probably can't pull that up. Since yeah, we can try it though. So let's try it, see if anything comes up. But more than likely not, because again, like there's data from 2017 to the present in terms of video. But once you go past that, it's kind of like I don't want to say a wasteland, but a little bit harder to find. So I'll just type in A-Rod, and so it automatically comes up no video available. Because again, having video for every single pitch, that's a lot of memory and storage. So, but yeah, so there's a ton of stuff you can do with Statcast video search, and like I said, I would say start with MLB's video search if you know like a specific player and what you want to look at. So like in Caleb's case, like Cody Bellinger fastballs, you can be able to see that. But if you don't, maybe if you're missing variables, you can go to StatCast and say, well, if there's already video there, great. But if not, you can go back to the video search and be able to get that.
Mhm.